So, topic I want to talk about tonight is not a very popular one, but it is a very prevalent one, unfortunately. And what I find is I have this relationship with this topic called grief. I have a relationship with this process because grief is not just a feeling. I have a relationship with this process that is very, very similar for me. This may not be for everyone. For me, that is very, very similar to the relationship I have with shame. So I think some of you know my story, some of my story, where I grew up in a home of addiction, um, a family of dysfunction, a family of pain, not just me, like the whole family. Um, and everyone's surviving, and that's generational for my family. That's not just my nuclear family of origin. Um, and what I'm aware of in my world and what I've talked about since 2026 started was I really became aware that my life felt like teaching me how to let go and how to die rather than how to live. And I know that's pretty deep, but just walk with me for a few minutes. There's several beliefs that um, what if life is not about who you are becoming? What if life is about taking all of the shit that's put on you and getting rid of it? Like the things I didn't ask for, the things that I didn't invite, the things I didn't approve. What if life is about taking all of that stuff off? And in my human experience, in my life, some of my story in growing up in addiction and a dysfunctional family included losing my dad through self-infliction because of his addictions. And I've shared many times, he passed when I was 24, but he was gone way before he took his life. It, in my experience and in my perception, gave him relief. It was um, a way out of the misery. And I want to own that some of that has to do with my perception. How can it not? And when I look at my life and I think about, am I learning how to live or am I learning how to die and let go? Because there's been so much of my life that feels like it's been forever. And I just turned 45 last month. That also feels really short. And a lot of it has to do with grief, like a shit ton. And I don't think I'm any different than anyone else, which is why I love the term fellow traveler so much. And thinking about the term grief and thinking about how often it shows up, it is this process of letting go. There's lots of versions of that, whatever fits for you, but releasing, letting go, removing what's not mine, what I didn't ask for. If you work with my team and you've done your genogram, it's all those lines and all those colors that were like, hey, I didn't ask for any of this shit. And when I start to remove all those things, even though I never asked for them, and even though they were really dysfunctional, then I'm fucking grieving because I'm letting go of the dysfunction. Like, what the fuck? This death and rebirth cycle that shows up in many, how do I say that? Like philosophies of life? I don't know how to say that. Whatever one's beliefs are, and all are welcome here. As you go through your life journey, looking at, am I learning how to live or am I learning how to grieve? And if so, what am I grieving? Because I sure as fuck don't want to grieve the dysfunction. Like, I was ready to let go of that shit. Still am ready to let go of it, as I just saw my therapist yesterday and was like, how much more are we going to peel off today? I joke about that, but it's also the reason I joke about that is because I truly believe in Shrek's version of we're onions. And there is no end to the layers that I'm peeling off. It's just getting to peel off the same layer again with deeper insight. I'm a different person today than I was 3 years ago when I worked on that same trauma. And part of the reason that there's grief in that is what gets complicated for me is I'm grieving this dysfunction that I never asked for, all while surviving, all while reparenting myself, because my parents didn't have it to give to me. Not about blame and fault, just about fact. They didn't have it to give to me. So recognizing, oh, fuck, they're ACAers too. My program is Adult Child of Alcoholic and Dysfunctional Families. This is not an ACA meeting. We're inclusive of all types of recovery. And my parents happen to also be ACAers. So in my grief process over the last couple of decades and my recovery journey, I've also grieved what they had a right to grieve. And then this awareness where my grief shifts. And well, sure, I'm sad that my dad wasn't there for my wedding or my college graduation, like the big hallmark things that really stood out, my boys being born. What I'm also really aware of is how sad is it for him that he didn't go to those things? The shift is real. Like, even if it's 2 degrees, boy, do those 2 degrees shifts really add up. So, working on grief the last several weeks, oh, fuck, my whole life, intentionally the last couple of weeks, I have been really curious about my relationship with grief. And I've been sharing that openly on here. And looking at how do I create more of a shift? How do I go into this lens and perspective of I want to learn how to live? And what does that mean in my body? Like, when I say that out loud, does that, you don't have to answer this. This is just, you guys know what I mean. When I say that out loud, I want to live. Can you say that just in your mind's eye, just to yourself? I want to live. I want to learn how to live. And do you notice what happens in your body? Maybe nothing. And that's okay. There's no wrong answer here. It's just the awareness of what does it mean to want to live? What does it mean to want to learn how to live? Thriving would be fucking amazing. Don't get me wrong. And I know that's the goal, right? That's the gold star. I'm being very sarcastic ass tonight. I'm sorry. And it's just this like real epiphany for me of this shift in my perception. And the Amberism definition of recovery is it gives me the gift of self-awareness. And it just feels huge, this shift that's happening and this sadness that I have for the things that my dad didn't get to experience. Yes, I'm sad he wasn't here too. Please don't get me wrong. Both can be true at the same time. But I never considered, oh, it sucks that you didn't get to be here, Dad. Like the feelings he must have had. And that's big for me because what I also know, because I happen to be a therapist, is I shifted from this egocentric place to this place of empathy. The grief wasn't just about me anymore. The grief is recognizing what they didn't get. Why? Because I'm fucking amazing. Where does that perception come from? The 2-degree shift again, right? It's like, wait a minute, where does this come from? So when they talk, and this is a real thing, it's not just complex. So when we talk about complex grief, it's because it's complex. It's because it's not just a feeling, which is very deceiving. It's a process. And who comes out, me, when I come out on the other side, I'm not the same little white country girl that went in. I'm not. And I find that fascinating. I find it fascinating that even though I didn't know to ask for it, I can't know what I don't know. I now find myself at 45, I almost said welcoming. I'm sure as fuck not welcoming, but in acceptance of a grief process that I'm in. And it's visceral and it is fucking deep. And I'm tired of crying and I'm tired of hurting. And I'm just so aware of it that I'm curious about it. And what I realized is I'm learning how to live. Like I'm learning it. Like I didn't know what to ask for because I can't know what I don't know. And at the same time, by doing it, I am doing it. And it is this awareness because I've said that, like mentors, coaches, fellow travelers have said that to me in my own journey. I have said that I don't know how many times. You're already doing it. And it's still like a today when the Amber definition of recovery is self-awareness. I really hope I'm making some sense because it's really blowing my mind these last couple of weeks. And it hurts like cellularly. And not going to say welcoming it. I'm accepting it. Like I'm receiving it. I'm holding it and I'm in and I'm shifting. And I think sometimes in recovery I lose sight that that's it. I'm doing it. Grief is the process of healing. Grief is the relationship between death and rebirth. And I feel like that's so known and so logical and so like, yeah, and it just hits different for me right now. Just hits different.